Oh my God.
Oh, cool. What is this? Amazing.
Hi, Annie. Woohoo!
Annie! Oh no, where are these socks? I feel so free.
You know these people?
Well, yeah. They're my friends.
Hey, so welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a recap of Shrill season 2 episode 4, Freak. Okay, so it's Annie's first day back at the office, and you can see she's kind of hesitant to walk in because she doesn't know how she's going to be received. Okay, so she's down there, and Amadi is doing their morning meeting, addressing some of the most minute and ridiculous things while Gabe is standing off to the side and making his little snide comments. Okay, so just as they were about to wrap up the meeting, calendar Cody arrived. So he replaced Amadi on the calendar. So if you don't remember, if you haven't seen the first season, initially Amadi and Annie worked on the calendar together. And after she left, obviously that's when Amadi got the promotion, and so now Cody is now the new calendar person, and her new assignment is going to be city council meetings and Freak of the Week. And Freak of the Week is basically what it says. They find some individual that is into things that are out of the norm, or what we consider socially normal. And so she goes into after Gabe tells her about her assignment. She was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and he was like, no, we're going to keep it the same way it's been for the last however many years this publication has been up and running. And she's like, okay, you know what, that's fine. So she goes off and she goes to talk to Amadi, but Amadi is in a conversation with, what's his name, Aaron? I don't know. He was the DJ at the party, and he's asking how these people are able to stay employed. This is just some clownery. So he's talking to Amadi about, Amadi said, so do you want me to tell you if you impregnating your sister is illegal or something? He said, well, no, actually, because his sister's lesbian, and the sister and the wife, or girlfriend, I don't know their status, want to have a kid. And so the thing is, but it wouldn't be the sister being pregnant. I'm hoping it would be the wife. Like it was kind of weird. And so Amadi basically was like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this. Get out of my damn office. So the guy was like, oh, we'll just put a pin in. He said, yeah, we'll do that. So he walks out, and Annie walks in thinking that it's going to be exactly the same. And so she wanted to she offered, so maybe we should go out to lunch. You could talk and vent and do whatever you want. Then we could talk about, how we used to. And he is just basically, I can't do lunch. I'm swamped. I have too much stuff going on. And so he's now caught up in what he's trying to do for payroll and all this other kind of stuff he's doing. And she has to get up and leave. She's like, okay, you look like you're busy, so I'm just going to go to my desk. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry to tell you, that's not your desk anymore. That's Cody's desk. And so she's like, where am I sitting? She's now in the office with Maureen. I thought Maureen was a tech person, but she's actually the photographer for the publication. And so Maureen was, just voicing her disappointment and, and Annie for throwing in the towel and coming back, because she had all this admiration and she was so proud of Annie for setting up the game. And she was like, I just, it's fine that you're back, but I have to say that I'm really disappointed. And Annie was like, well, okay, well, really, who really cares? Okay, anywho, so while they're sitting there, she gets a text from Ryan. And Maria's like, oh, so what is that? It got you all giggly. She was like, oh, that's my boyfriend. He's texting me because he's supposed to actually meet my parents for dinner tonight. And he already met her father. Obviously, he had busted up their smoke detector, but he hasn't met her mother yet. And so she, they kind of talked a little bit about that. And so next thing you see her trying to get somebody for the Freak of the Week. And she's making all these calls. And I mean, people are advertising they're just misrepresenting themselves, so she's kind of facing dead ends. And then Maureen was like, well, I might know somebody. And so the person that Maureen knew, was this guy who rides completely naked. During the day, he's like this high-powered, I don't know if he's an ad exec, I forget what he does. But on his off time, he likes to ride around naked. Now, how this man hasn't been arrested for indecent exposure, and they did a whole full frontal while Maureen is getting photographs of him like on a just public street with his bike and his helmet, but he's completely naked. And so they got the full frontal going on, and you got Andy asking him questions like, how did you get into this, and why did you get into this, and he's explaining like his whole mindset behind it. And I guess people tend to have so much control and order in their day-to-day life, and sometimes it feels good to just let go. And so that was it. So the whole time Marina's getting her photographs. Okay, so Fran and Andy. So Andy gets home, and Franny is getting all dolled up, and she's like, oh, so where are you going? And so Fran was like, you know what, it's been a while since I've been in a relationship, and I've decided, I'm going to take myself out for dinner. So it's just going to be a night, just me, just doing me, and just having a good time, which is perfectly reasonable. It makes perfectly good sense. And so that's what she has planned. So Ryan comes down with this shiny shirt and these khaki shorts. It's like, so what about this? And so Fran tells him he looks like some type of ranger or something, a forest ranger. I know. So you can see that Fran is nowhere near as hostile towards Ryan as she used to be. So they had a good chuckle, and so now Annie and Brian, they go observe him so she can get dressed. They start talking, and he's talking about how nervous he is, and she's trying to reassure him that it's going to be all fine, it's all good. Of course, he wants to have sex. Initially, she was like, nah, I want to do that, but then eventually they have their little situation. So they arrived at the restaurant, and you see Cody there, and she was like, oh, this is the new guy that I work with. He actually recommended this restaurant. So they meet with his parents and say they do the whole pleasantries, and he pulls out. He said, "Oh, I brought you guys a gift." He brought them this. He gave them each this jacket from this sports team. It's this bright red and black, and of course they took it. They were kind of like off put, like okay, but they took it, and it's like, oh, well, thank you. It was you should be gracious, even though somebody's doing something that you consider to be weird. Okay, so and you can kind of see Andy's face like, oh, okay, why'd you do that? That's kind of off. But they took it, they were gracious, and they took the jackets. And so the guy came over to bring the bread and the butter to the table, and the mom was like, no, if that's here, I'm going to eat it, and I just don't want to eat it. I don't want to be tempted. And so Annie was like, okay, well, yeah, he can leave the bread because basically there's 3 other people at this table, and we might want the bread. And so it's like, oh, okay, so at this point, this man is confused. He's like, wait, so do I leave the bread? Do I not? Oh, she's like, just leave the bread. And so she grabs the bread, Annie, and she starts eating the bread. And so her mom is like, she's having a little snarky, saying a little snarky stuff, and it's like, oh, well, why don't you guys, start working in the yard? And she's like, what? Working in the yard? He's like, what do you mean? When your dad and I started dating, that's what we used to do. We used to pick chairs, something, plant chair, something, I don't know. And she was like, oh, okay. And so they started talking to him about how they met. And he said, well, they met, he worked at the hardware store, and she came in and asked him just some random questions to start a conversation. And it was that was it. He was like, oh, you work at a hardware store, so maybe you can replace my smoke detector. Today, actually, he smashed the smoke detector. And that's when she said the yard comment. And then she was like, oh, maybe, and then he said, well, I don't actually work there anymore, so that's a strike. Like, okay, you're meeting her parents, and you're telling them that you're unemployed. Okay, so, and she said, I forget what comment happened, but the mom says I better not say anything, otherwise she'll write about me again. But she said it as a kind of like a joke, but serious. Like it was just something. So eventually she got up and she excused Annie got up and excused herself. So Fran, she's down. She goes to this dispensary, and the lady behind the counter, she knows Fran, and Fran will go in there and flirt with her, and she's like, no, today I'm just out, just being me, and just doing me. And she said, I just want something to make me feel like the only girl in the world. And so the lady pulled out some little something, put it in the pipe, and she got a little toke off of it, and she's like, oh, okay, this is what I need to make me feel like a whole new woman. Thank you very much. And so the next thing you know, you see her walking down the street with this big ass cheeseburger, and she walks into this karaoke bar. So she sits up at the bar, and whoever was up there singing was butchering the hell. I don't even know what kind of song the person was singing, but it sounds terrible. Okay, so Fran was like, "Give me the book." So they slid the book over to her, and she picked Bradley Cooper's Lady Gaga song, "Shallows." I think that's the name of it. And she got up there and she sung that song. I mean, she was, it was a little so-so, but she was all right. She was all right. She was sure as hell better than the first person that was up there. And so the dad and Annie, they kind of met up at the bathroom, and he was like, "Well, are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with her." He said, "It's all fine, but you're doing good." And so she said some joke that he used to say to her, and he was like, "Oh, well," he said, "Wow, you're using the dad joke on me." He was like, "I must be getting old," or he made some comment to that. And she was like, "Well, what about Ryan?" He said, "What do you think of Ryan?" She was like, "He's fine." She was like, "He's fine? What is that all you have to say?" He was like, "I barely know the guy. But from what I can tell, he's okay." Like, I'm not sure what kind of reaction she was expecting. Like, "Oh my God, he's the greatest, wonderfulest, man in the world." He's only been sitting with the man for a few hours, and the first time we met the man brought a gun in his house and smashed the smoke detector. So it's like, what more do you? Girl, that girl me thinking stuff through. Like, what kind of reaction where are you trying to elicit from him? I don't know. But anywho, so now everybody's back at the table, and now it's a whole debate over dessert. The mom was like, "I don't want to do dessert," and she made it about bread and pasta, made some comment about the bread and pasta, and Andy got mad and was like, "Every people should have whatever the hell they want, whatever they want, just like if you went to Vancouver and da, da, da." So it started to turn into a whole situation, and for whatever reason, he started to blurt out, "I have a son that I'm not allowed to see." He is just a buffoon. Like, okay, now you got to take. So now you unemployed and you a deadbeat dad. Okay, you made a wonderful first impression on her parents. Well, I mean, you'd already kind of screwed up with his dad, but a little bit. But it's like, child, what is going on with you and this dude? Okay, so and that was pretty much the end of their situation at the restaurant. Dad and mom, they're walking to the car with their jackets, and they're kind of laughing because they're laughing at the jackets like they're really bright, and they're just not them, but they had a good little laugh. But the dad had to tell her, this is said, you're doing the same thing you used to do her when she was a kid. She's an adult, and you have to learn to start treating her as an adult. And he was like, the counting, you used to count every Snickers or whatever. He said, but that she tried to play it off like, well, that was to also help her with numbers. He was like, no, just leave her alone. Like, okay, just let that shit go. She's an adult. She's gonna do what she's gonna do. And in the point you even getting involved in, this whole thing. This whole passive aggressive shit that you got doing on what he did. But I mean, just basically, he said what I was saying. Just leave her alone. So Andy and Ryan, they're all sitting out, and they're both sitting out, and she was just disappointed in the way the night went. And he was like, I'm really sorry about how things went with my mom, and da da da. And he was like, I think it went pretty good. Did you think I did a good job? And she kind of gave him the side eye and was like, sure, you telling my parents. She didn't say this, but I'm thinking that whole look that she gave him was like, okay, you unemployed and you basically said you were deadbeat dad. Yeah, you did great. She's like, yeah, you did a good job. You did a good job. And so he was like, yeah, I've been sitting here thinking, of course everything goes back to sex with him because he's 12. And so I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna ever be able to make you squirt. And she was like, my mind is really not on squirting right now, and it was just out of pocket, just like who he is. That's just who he is, out of pocket. And so next thing you know, you hear woo-hoo! You started clipping the beginning of this video, and that's when the freaks came out, and you saw the guy who's like, hey, Annie, the guy that she interviewed for Freak of the Week, and you saw it was just a whole group of people on their bikes. Some were dressed, some were naked, some were half dressed, and you saw Maureen. She's like, yeah, I'm not wearing socks. So that was her idea of being free and being a freak, right? So she wasn't wearing socks. So so they saw them going down the road, and they was just oblivious and wasn't even thinking about nothing, just having a good time. And Ryan was like, "Well, who are these people?" She said, "Oh, there's my friends." And he was like, "Oh, that's so cool." So he's like cheering them on, like, "Woo!" Because you know he clown. Woo! Oh my God, that is so awesome. And I'm like, okay, at some point these fools gonna get arrested. Hey, this is how you ride down a public street with your junk all flapping in the wind. I don't know how you're not gonna get an indecency charge on that, but whatever. But you know, it's the same. This is the same world where Ruthie can be still and make the most inappropriate comments, and then the old boy can talk about impregnating the sister up at the workplace. So, I mean, you know, whatever. It's whatever. So I'm gonna end this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.